All right, I'm calling my shot on this one, George.
Hit me with it.
I think Mecha Break is going to be massive. I think this is going to be a Palworld of the year.
Really?
It's interesting because I almost forgot this game existed.
I did forget this game existed until you told me that you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I
That was my
so
reminder.
so this got a trailer at the Game Awards
Mm.
last December.
You
Um,
paint a picture for me, a visual picture, because I'm still forgetting as I'm looking at it.
Big
Remind
mechs
me, Big
shooting each
Max.
other.
Okay.
It was very like unlike a lot of mech games that are kind of slow and plotting. This one was like really high octane. It looked like an episode of Gundam or something.
Mm.
It,
I think I remember.
destructible environments, tons of mechs, just everything exploding all the time.
Was there like
Lasers
an
from
animal one?
rockets
I'm
and
pretty sure there was an animal one.
uh, a mech show
No, in this game, I feel like there
in
was
this
like a
game.
more like one that can roll around, maybe.
Yes,
Then
yes,
yes, I do
yes.
remember Mecha Break.
So there's plenty of mech games out there. I didn't really think much of this one, but I went to a preview and I did not realize how big of a deal this game is. First of all, they did a beta this past weekend and it hit like 230,000 concurrent.
That's
It
wild.
passed Marvel Rivals.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like people are hot on this one. And also, so this is from a studio called Seasun Games. It's a Chinese studio. This studio's been around for a long time. They said they've been making mostly like MMOs and um, like action games for 30 years. And this is the first worldwide release they're doing.
Hmm.
They have been working on this for 8 years.
Oh
So,
wow.
but they've done multiple restarts. I think it was 2021 when they like landed on this version of it and really went all in. 400 internal developers have worked on this,
Sheesh.
and they
Jesus.
yeah, and they said once you account for like marketing and outsourcing, they said they've had 1,000 people work on this game.
My god. I mean, does the developer just have some background? I don't know if you know much about what they previously did. Were they like big games? Did they? Is this
They,
a developer that's lauded in
I
China that we're
think
just?
so,
Yeah. Okay.
but like I said, until I was in their office, I'd never heard of them
Mm.
because these games are only in China. So it's really weird to like find out that there's a company that's like basically as big as EA out there
Yeah.
that you've never heard of. Like,
Yeah.
it's very strange. We sat down for the interview and I was like, "Can we just talk about your company? Like, what have you done? Who are you? How much money do you have?"
like it's your first day in games, but it turns out,
Yeah,
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 it's humbling a little, isn't it? Like
definitely.
I felt the sort of way when Black Myth became such a big deal. It was sort of like you didn't realize how big games from Chinese and Asian developers were.
Right.
They're huge lately. They're making a massive impact.
Massive. Yeah. And I think this one is going to be a big deal. At least I hope so because it is so much fun.
Mm.
It's real good, George.
What is it?
Uh,
So I think you've mentioned sort of hero shootery before.
yeah. So there's going to be three game modes. It is a hero shooter. So it has a 3v3 team deathmatch. So it's actually first to 8. That's how long the time to kill is in this game. Like,
Jesus.
it is not easy to kill a mech.
You'd hope so with it being
Yeah.
mech. Yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of the power fantasy, right?
Yeah, it requires like team tactics and like strategy to get a kill in this game, which is one thing I like about it a lot. I'll get more into that. So it's a 3v3, first team to 8 kills, and then there's a 6v6 Overwatch. It has a variety of objectives. It has escort missions. It has King of the Hill kind of stuff, like capture point stuff. Just a bunch of different objectives in this 6v6 mode, and that's like the real core of the game. That's like the flagship mode. And then it also has an extraction mode. So this is 20 teams of 3, so 60 players on a huge map, and you are competing for resources and like permanent progression unlocks, as well as like cosmetics and stuff like that. And you're trying to take it's a PvPvE, so you're like fighting bosses and other players at the same time, and then trying to extract with your loot, which will give you like mods to make you stronger, and it'll give you cosmetics, and then you go back in and you do it again. And I played that a bit, and it is cool and interesting, and I like the meta progression of it, but it is not as like intense and fast and exciting as the 6v6.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
just a
like
slower game mode.
is this free to play?
I don't know. I don't know if they've even said. I
Yeah,
suspect so because it's like packed with loot boxes and battle passes and
yeah, yeah.
so much. Like,
The vibe I'm getting is, have you heard about Delta Force?
yeah.
The recent revival there, they had that, and it was the campaign and extraction mode. It was deathmatch kind of Battlefieldy, but it had hero shooter vibes as well.
Yeah,
Seems to kind of be a formula right now.
I know.
A
It's
tough
like,
one to crack.
yeah, that's the thing. These games, man, it's not a good time to be putting out live service hero shooters.
No,
So,
it hasn't been for a
yeah,
while.
I know. And especially ones that cost this much money. Like they're they must be expecting a certain return. It helps that they already have a big Chinese audience, I'm sure. But yeah, that definitely remains to be seen. And the other thing is like the difference between those markets and what Chinese players expect in terms of monetization from a free-to-play game versus what Westerners expect is like completely different, right? Like, and so to their credit, they're very outspoken about avoiding pay to win, at least in this market, because they know that's such a dirty word.
Yeah.
So like the 6v6 mode, you can't use the mods, right? Like there's no meta in terms of like how you build your character. You don't have to worry about that stuff, which means you don't have to buy loot boxes to get stronger. That's going to be like mostly cosmetic stuff. But yeah, there's like at least two soft currencies and a hard paid currency, and there's battle pass stuff, and it's going to be like
free to play. Yeah,
it's going to be jam packed with stuff to spend money on. That's for sure. But man, it's so fun. Yeah. Oh, it's so fun. And I'm not really a mech guy. I don't play.
No, I'm not either. I never have been.
Yeah, I don't even have like my favorite mech game or anything like that. I've really only dabbled with this stuff. But the 6v6 is so dang good. And a big part of that is just how different these mechs are. When you think about a hero shooter, you've got, your classes, you're like tank and support and DPS. But really, they all just kind of shoot different guns, The play styles, even when you think about like Pharah in Overwatch, like Pharah has a jetpack and shoots rockets, versus like a hit scan, like McCree. That's not his name anymore. I forgot what they changed his name to.
Yeah, I forget what his name
Cassidy.
is. Cassidy. Yeah, same
time. Versus like a hit scan character. Like, yes, they're different, but they're both like shooting guns. These mechs, it's like playing a different game, depending on which mech you're piloting. So first of all, there's a ton of them. I think there's like 14 or something. Oh, wow. And like, so I'll talk about two that are just so different.
Yeah.
So one of them is they're called strikers. That's what mechs are called in this game. And one of them is a lightweight attacker. And this one is called Falcon. I think it's probably my favorite one. And Falcon is a sort of recon hit and run character.
You've sold me. So, that is exactly my type of character. Fast-paced.
Yeah. So basically, it has a transform mode where he goes from mech to fighter jet, and then blasts across the battlefield, doing high burst damage. And he also has like a scan, so you can mark targets. And so in 6v6, you are dashing around trying to support your teammates on objectives, because you can get around the map really fast. You're strafing targets that are slower, that can't track you, can't keep up. The more like ground-based guys, and then you're just like rushing weak targets and doing a bunch of burst damage and then flying away.
Okay.
That's one. That's one mech. Okay. Then there's a mech that has no guns. He has a big axe and he does spin attacks and he has like counters and like can block and like break.
Sick.
It's like it's like a completely different
that sounds
game.
Like a whole game. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's so cool. There's like the tanks are like these big heavies that like drop down and put up shields and like fire big missile barrages and just like destroy the landscape. Their supports that they do not just healing but a bunch of different. They can speed up their teammates. They do all kinds of different supporty things. But even the guns, like some guns lock on, some guns you have to charge and release. Some are lasers. And they're all so different. I don't know how else to say it. Like the variety of experiences. You really, unlike other hero shooters, it's not just like I like the way this character looks, and I like using shotguns.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
the pretty cosmetics and the
Spider-Man
swinging.
In Mecha Break, you really have to find a play style that you click with, because some of them aren't gonna. You're just gonna get owned, and it's not gonna make any sense. Like if you can't, parry, and if you don't get like the sort of soulsy, twitchy melee combat, like those brawlers are not for you.
Yeah, they sound like for me. I like that. That's you already sold me with the first mech with Falcon, and then one-upped it, which I feel like is maybe this game, right? Like each mech is one-upping itself.
There's this really cool assassin's type melee guy. He has a lance, and you're kind of like hiding and waiting for an opportunity, and then you just dash full speed with this lance out and drill it into some dude, and you can just kill guys instantly if you get the right timing, the right target. If their shields are already broken, you just come out of the shadows and thrust this lance into them and kill them.
And there are going to be more mechs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow, they already sound really diverse. Like it reminds me kind of, we've talked hero shooter, Marvel Rivals. It felt so different from Overwatch. Like I feel like Overwatch is all guns. Like, you put it one way or another, it is all guns.
Yeah.
Rivals had more melee focused characters, which felt like a big step up. Like it felt really different, even though they're not always that good. Now, Mecha Break feels like, what if instead of melee or shooting, it's like completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
That is interesting.
It's cool. I do like hero. I mean, I play tons of Apex. I've played tons of Overwatch. So like, I'm already into these kinds of games. But I had a different impression of what mech games were, and I think this one. They put out a really cool trailer for the beta. It kind of explains how Mech works, but it's just showing all the different mechs fighting. And when you watch this trailer, I'll link it in the description. That's what it feels like to play the game. It really is that like fast-paced and kinetic and flying in and out and like split-second reactions. It's it's super fun. I had such a great time with it.
I didn't think you could sell me on a hero shooter. I gotta be honest. But, yeah. I mean, if it's free to play, we'll give it a try, right? But like, I don't know. I'm kind of into it. Is the open beta still going, or is that?
I think so. I thought it was just the weekend, but I think it's still going. I'll fact check you on that. I'll put that in the description too. The other thing I have to at least briefly mention. I have to at least briefly mention this. It is extremely horny.
Yep, I've seen that on Twitter. I think that's, until we've talked about it now, that's my only knowledge of Mecha Break.
I don't care. Look. You're not gonna own me with your horny game, all right? I'm not playing that game. But it did make me cringe. It definitely made me cringe.
Yeah, the clip made me cringe as well. I don't care. Like, whatever.
Enjoy it. If
enjoy
that's
it if you enjoy
your thing, whatever.
Cool. But Yeah, it is what it is, right?
That's definitely a part of it.
Good timing.
When
The
you're
maintenance
when you're in the mech, first of all, when you get in the mech, it like zooms straight into your crotch for some reason as you're getting into it. And then when your mech gets destroyed, it cuts to your character and it's like full-blown jiggle physics. Like,
Yep.
it was funny when I was at the preview. They gave us some time with the character creator, which is really in depth. It's a really good character creator. But I had just made mine. I wanted to get into the game, and at one point, somebody had raised their hand and was like, "Can you even make a male character?" They couldn't see the option to even switch it from. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think the answer was yes, but it's
not the preferred,
not
way,
the default.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say.
And you can make a character that looks really young, which is not super great.
Problematic.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a thing to tackle when it launches, I guess.
Right?
That's gonna be a problem for another day.
Yeah, people were talking about it. I wanted to bring it up. I don't care about any of this stuff.
No.
It does. Yeah, it's not part of the game if you don't want it to be.
No, exactly.
Except when it is. Yeah, dude, it's a blast. It's a blast, and it seems like people really like it. You know, I asked, when I was interviewing the director, I was just like, you know, this is a really brutal climate for these kinds of games. Your company has invested so many years, so much manpower, so much money into this. Like, where do you find the confidence to go full steam ahead on something that is so risky? And he had a really good answer. It was interesting. It was through a translator, but he was like, "I'm gonna tell you from the heart and from the logic." Basically, he was like, but it really came down to this dude just loves mechs so much. Was gonna make a mech game no matter what. But B, it was an organic evolution. It was like, let's prototype this. Oh, it seems like it's really fun. Let's put a trailer out. Oh, it got 1 million views. You know, like it just they just had the signs were there that there was a niche for this, and people were interested in a kind of mech game that didn't exist.
Yeah, you know, I respect that. Too often it feels like a hero shooter is a generic blank canvas for a multiplayer game now, right?
Yeah.
Like a competitive multiplayer game. But if it works out that way and it just had to be a hero shooter, that isn't even it, because it has other modes as well. But
right.
This is what best fits Mecha Break. Then, you know, same for Rivals. Like, if it works, it works.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is coming out this spring. No exact date yet. But it's a big push. They're doing like an action figure line. They're doing anime.
Oh, wow, that is confident.
They're doing a whole like multimedia thing with merch, and they're auctioning off these really cool art pieces of the different mechs on their website. Like, they have a fan base built around this game already, and they're gonna try to get Mecha Break to be everywhere. I'm sure it's gonna be like a Netflix show, and like, yeah, if it works, Concord was kind of doing the same thing with the TV show, but yeah, I don't know. It could be a big thing. It's definitely fun. It's definitely deserves to be a big thing. So
yeah, I hope so. I'll definitely give it a try if the beta's still running.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out. I have a preview and an interview for Mecha Break linked down in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer, no spaces.